Three things have happened this year. First of all, I have pneumonia. Secondly, we're in the middle of a huge windstorm. And thirdly, there are wildfires burning to both the east and the west of where I am right now. It is a very strange time, this start of the new year 2025. I am fine now, and I will be fine. I'm not in any danger, and my house isn't in danger. But what it all adds up to is a January that is just not starting apace the way that I hoped that it would. In previous years, when I didn't get a quick start on January, I thought, that's okay, that's something that I can forgive myself for and something that I can give myself grace for. But this year, I'm thinking about it a little bit differently. This year, I'm thinking it's not just something that I can give myself grace for or something that I can accept. It's actually a good thing in and of itself. Not having this fresh set of resolutions and a go-get-em attitude on January 1st, I think that's more of a feature than a bug. Look, I enjoy popping open a new planner, fresh new planner on January 1st as much as the next person. I love that shit. But are we really supposed to have all of our goals and plans and ideals for the new year laid out by 7 days after Christmas? If you subscribe to the 12 days of Christmas narrative or celebrate Epiphany, Christmas isn't even over yet by January 1st. Mary and Joseph are still sitting in that stable waiting for the wise men to show up. I don't have anything set in stone by a week after Christmas. Maybe that whole January 1st thing works for you. And if so, I'm not going to begrudge you that. Like, go get them, do your thing. But for me, I think that it's time I try something different. I just can't. I have an errand that I need to do that is somewhat related to the topic of this video. So I'm going to just bring you along with me while I do that, and we can talk more about the start to the new year along the way. Does that sound good? Okay. So on December 30th, I found myself in urgent care in Colorado. I got prodded and swabbed and x-rayed, and I came out with my diagnosis of pneumonia. And that, of course, was 2 days before the new year. I couldn't do anything. Like, there was zero chance that I was going to be able to make any goals or fresh starts or anything like that because I could barely put in the bare minimum on my life. I literally could not do it. I'm still not at 100% yet, but I'm feeling the difference in myself, and even that makes me realize how bad it was. But it also has made me think a lot about January and just the time of year that January is. A lot of us really go hard through the holidays, right? We celebrate, we're doing a lot of things. There are a lot of events and gatherings going on. And the holiday season isn't really a time of rest and relaxation for most of us. It's busy, and sometimes it's stressful. January, here in the Northern Hemisphere at least, is winter. It is a time of hibernation. It's a time of rest. Why would I expect that time for my body, for my mind, for my life to be the time of highest energy? It makes zero sense. I have been playing recently with these Seasons of the Witch Oracle decks. I love them. Until being exposed to these decks, I didn't really understand the concept of the Wheel of the Year. I'm just learning about it through using these insight tools. So if you are also not familiar with the Wheel of the Year concept, let me just explain it real quick. The modern pagan Wheel of the Year marks each year through the equinoxes and solstices that signal the start of our astronomical seasons. And then it adds the midpoint or cross-quarter days between those seasons. And those line up actually with a lot of our traditional holidays. When you look at the year this way, it also has the effect of dividing up the year between a light season from Beltane, which is May Day, to Samhain, which is Halloween. And then a dark season goes from Samhain back to Beltane. Hey, there it is. Okay, heading home. I am excited to open up that deck and see what's inside with you. This is the Imbolc deck. This is the season that we are coming into right now. Imbolc falls right around Valentine's Day. It's halfway between the winter solstice and the spring solstice. And I really think that this is going to embody the kind of energy that I'm talking about for the next couple months. We can do a little layout to look at the cards. I'm just going to do a get to know your deck layout here. I'll speed it up in this video, but if you want to see the whole thing in detail, you can watch it on my Substack later. The art is always beautiful on these decks, and the feeling of this one is very similar to what I expected. Everything is very soft, very internal looking, and in keeping with the contemplative nature of the season. The next season, spring, is when we start looking more outward. So the more I think about it, when you're not constrained by fiscal years or the school calendar or the Gregorian calendar, it makes sense to start your year at one of these natural transition points. For me, the logical point to do it is right here at Astara. The two biggest transitions of my life happened in March. That was becoming a mother and becoming a widow. And both of those were traumatic in different ways. My son and I both barely survived the birth process. And of course, losing my husband has been probably the most difficult thing I've faced in my life. But with every death, every ending in life comes this great tectonic shift, this rebirth. Hello. Each of those life-changing events for me definitely introduced a new phase in my life, one that was very much wanted and another that I wouldn't ask for in a million years. Still, it makes sense to me to honor those rebirths by using that time of year to revisit my values and reevaluate the direction that my life is going. But it's also not just about my personal circumstances, because in the Northern Hemisphere where I live, those 6 weeks between Astara and Beltane are 6 weeks of beginnings and 6 weeks of transition. It's the transition from cool to warm, from winter to spring. In the Christian tradition that I grew up in, it's when we celebrate Easter, which is, of course, all about death and rebirth. It is the time of year when buds become flowers, and that is the sort of change that I want to embody as I start a new cycle in my life. So if I'm putting off my fresh start until March, what about right now? I don't want January and February to just be a dead zone in my life. I want to use this time to ease in to my plans and goals for the coming season. So now, right now, is the time to look back on previous seasons, to think about what worked and what didn't work over the past year. And I think that that's a process longer than just posting the Spotify Wrapped in the week between Christmas and New Year. I don't even use Spotify. I don't know why I use that example. What I'm saying is, though, that I want to kind of stretch out and luxuriate in the whole process. I want planning my new year to feel like curling up with seed catalogs long before planting season and just daydreaming about what's to come. I want to ease myself into the new year the way spring eases into the world, preparing and gathering energy for that moment when the burst of activity inevitably happens. And we move into a new season of growth and blooming. So what do you think? Does this sound crazy, or does it seem to fit to you as well? And do you celebrate a new year at any time other than January 1st, maybe the start of the school year or your birthday? I would just love to hear about alternatives. And until next time, I'm wishing you love and joy and all of those good things, and I can't wait to talk to you again.